Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of SuperFantaFi. This being a show we're talking about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about new Saga Season 1, Episode 2. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. I'm going to say something, I can't really put into words why I feel this way, but especially after this episode, for whatever reason, this anime more so than any feels like a JRPG to me. And I've watched other stuff currently, even animes I'm watching currently that have more JRPG elements to it, but for whatever reason, it's specifically like that last shot of the ending where it's like all of them together, like our kind of core group together. That felt like a wallpaper you'd see when you're opening like a video game on the PlayStation, like specifically like a PS4 or PS5, like that wallpaper image that pops up the moment you like click on the game. It feels like something out of that. Like this like kind of gives off the same energy as like the first image that pops up when you, is it the first image or is it there's a Dragon Quest 11 wallpaper that has all the characters on it. It gives me that vibe and I can't explain why. Also, I really like the way the ending is drawn. It feels like those are probably just straight up taken from the illustrations of the light novel, because the light novel has that same like texture to its pictures. Just from the like one or two images I've seen, it looks aesthetically like that. So I wonder are those images taken straight from the light novel, or are they illustrated by the same person who illustrates the light novel? Either way, getting into the meat and potatoes of the episode, we open with Kyle training. Pretty much what I thought. He does seem to somehow have more magic, and I'm curious. I wonder, well, it's probably a combination of basically a whole bunch of magic was absorbed into that stone, so when he like grabbed it and it sent him back in time, maybe some of that residual energy off. I mean, maybe that's why he only went back as far as he did, because maybe some of the other bits of the energy, maybe while it was sending him back in time, it was also transferring some of it into him. So maybe that's why he has more magic. But the problem is, like I said, his body can't keep up with what he wants to do. He knows what to do, but he can't. So he's visualizing fighting the Demon King, but he's like, yo, like I can't. Like, even a suicide rush wouldn't be enough. Like, I'd still end up dead. So he's got to push himself. He's like, I've got 3 years until the Great Invasion start. I have to push myself more and more. And so we have Alice and Theron, like, watching him. Like, why is he doing this? What's up? And then even Layla comes over, who is his master. But is that, I think, didn't he, like, Theron call her, like, mom or something? I believe he did. So I wonder if like she's his adopted, because like the ending photo shows him at such a young age. So that could be his mom, or it could be like his adopted mom, who also just happens to be like, she also, I guess, trained maybe him and Kyle. But I love like her only takeaway is like, yo, him being as motivated only one thing that could push someone to make a big change like that out of nowhere, it's got to be a woman. And so Lisa gets super jealous and stuff, because I'm so curious what their relationship is at this point in time, where it's like, I guess it's like they're definitely not official yet, and they probably don't, like, that's the thing. I'm curious, do they not become official even before she died, or did they become official in between now and then? But there's also the element of, we don't know what their current relationship is. Like, obviously she likes him, and he obviously probably had feelings for her, but nothing ever materialized. Like, I don't think they're dating right now. I think it's that they're in that will they, won't they phase. But either way, she's pissed off. She's like, who is it? Who is it? He's like, what are you talking about? And she starts shaking him. He's like, you better tell me who it is. What woman are you messing with? And she shakes him to the point he's vomiting. But then she apologizes by cooking him and everyone a meal. And so Kyle's takeaway from all of this is like asking, okay, he's asking his master and his mom, if you were to ask like who's a very influential person, they're like, well, a high priest would be someone, or a hero. They mentioned a third option. Oh yeah, like, because they reference like the hero who defeated the Demon King 300 years ago. And it's like, it's not just humans, even the elves and the dwarves, like all like would listen to that hero. So Kyle's takeaway is like, okay, so for the next 2 years, I have to work towards becoming a hero, because if I can become a hero, someone of fame and renown, when I warn them of what's to come, it could help me prepare everyone. It put me in a better position to be prepared for what's to come, because that would still give me a year buffer before the great invasion happens, but also like he can gather forces, has a, because he has a lot more, he'll have a lot more reach as a hero to kind of get the things he needs, because he's talking to Therion later on, and it's like the things he needs as a hero, he's going to need money, strength, but also power and influence. And I think it's really interesting, and I think that's the fascinating element of you're going to do whatever it takes to make this happen, because it's too big of a thing that you're going to have to overcome. So he's even saying, like, I don't care if I have to go about being a hero the most underhanded way possible. If it gives me what I need to do, I'll do it. Like, he's like, now I'm not going to do anything shady, like, because if I'm not going to pay, like when I'm like hunting like monsters for clients or whatever, I'm not going to ask them to pay me, but we do need to make money somehow, because traveling is going to be very expensive. And even Theron's like, yo, why are you so motivated to do all this? And he's like, well, I'll end up telling you one day, but secretly being like, oh, don't worry, Therion, you're going to come along with me on this adventure. I'm not going to leave without my best bud. I even love him and his master talking about it later on. It's like, oh, you should take him too. He's like, oh, I was thinking the same thing. She's like, he'd make a good show. He's like, I wouldn't waste him like that. He's better as a sacrificial palm. He's like, yo, don't I get a say in what you guys are going to do with me? So he's also saying his goodbyes to Lisa, which I was like, well, that can't be a permanent thing. Because I was also curious to see, like, because she is in like one of the wallpaper or poster photos for this show. Well, it's her, because I think because at first I was like, is she going to be a magic? I forgot, but she does have a weapon in her hands. So she's not one of those, childhood / love interest who stays behind in the main village or whatever type of situation. Ergo, like a JRPG fashion. It's like, no, I'm going on this trip with you. Usually, that's a, staple enough in its own right, where your childhood friend / love interest is along on the journey with you. Like, I don't know why the first thing that immediately came to mind was like Star Ocean 3 Till the End of Time, but it's like, obviously it's like, was it Selphie or Sophie? Was it Sophia? I don't remember her name. Like Fate's childhood friend who also is like pseudo tied to being his love interest. Tangents and all that aside. There's plenty of examples of it. For whatever reason, Star Ocean 3 is the first thing that came to mind. But once again, it's also interesting too, because she doesn't come up into the story until quite a bit into the game. So it's not like you start off the adventure together, but it's a while before they're reunited. Either way, once again, sorry for my tangents, but she initially wasn't coming alone because Kyle wants to keep her safe, and it's like, you need to stay here, I want you safe. And before she could really say anything, he kisses her. And the fact that she didn't have more of a rebuttal makes me wonder, so are you guys already dating? I'm still unclear on that, because she kind of got a little like nervous the moment he was hugging her, and specifically grabbing her on her butt last episode. That was only like a day ago, but it's kind of that, we're kind of fast tracking what was already here, and she's kind of like, oh, that's unfair, but it's like, fine, I'll wait for you. But the problem is, when they went shopping, he ran into Urza, which, the last time he saw her, she was I'm pretty sure that was her at the beginning of episode 1 that got obliterated, like turned into, like, completely disappeared because of the Demon King's attack. And he goes over and he accidentally calls her by her true name. Like, was it X's? It's her real name. But like, he's not supposed to know that, because an elf's true name is something vital and important. So she said, like, the only people who know that are me and my parents. But it turns out that she was his future lover after losing Lise, and he's like trying to like console her. He's like, come on, like, and he kind of puts her to sleep. But I guess like that's where we had the conversation later on about, because he knows an elf's true name, you have power over them, which is like an interesting mythological thing. Like, not necessarily in the vein of elves, but generally like the power of a name. When you know someone's name or something's name, you have power over it. So it's interesting knowing that's applicable to elves. I wonder, is that applicable to any other species like the dwarves or whatever in this world? Maybe not. Maybe that's just something specific to elves. But it is interesting, because later on the concern is like what kind of evil you would do. Because he just says like sleep. And I was like, is that like just a magic he has? Or is it like the magic of having an elf's name? Like, you tell them to do something, they have to do it. So that might not have been him casting magic. That might have just been him like utilizing the like rules of the elves against her. But then Lise got super pissed, and he's like, babe, he's almost like, babe, come on, like, I was lonely. She's like, what do you mean you were lonely? I'm right here. It's like, sadly he lost you and found new love afterwards. I was like, wow, that's quite the complicated circumstance to find yourself in. The woman you love that died years ago for you, well, not a couple years ago for you, because the invasion didn't happen until 3 years ago, and that 3 years from now, and that's when Lise died, I believe. But then, like, I guess like a year afterwards, him and Urza, or exes, got together. So that's kind of interesting. Which also makes sense why she was right by your side. I mean, just probably power-wise and stuff like that, but also, like, why you'd want her by your side. I mean, it makes sense because, like, the 3 people that went in to go after the Demon King, along with some, like, soldiers that immediately got killed, was he brought Theron, his best friend, and the woman he was in love with. So it's interesting. So now he has to contend with that. And so he's trying to not tell exes how Urza how he knows her real name. And so he's like, right, we'll form a contract. This application of contract will mean that it'll force me to not use your name. And it's like, right, it's a deal that if I break it, it'll kill both of us. But the problem is it can only be activated on a full moon. There's not one for a few more weeks. So it's like, oh, we'll have to stay here. But Kyle's like, yeah, about that, I'm kind of leaving like tomorrow. So she has to tag along. Lisa's also not letting him go off on his own because she's like, hey, yo, I can't trust you. So now I'm coming along on this adventure too. So that was interesting too. Like his dad just randomly being there. He's like, oh, my dad's here too. And I'm like, is that the only time I'm going to see your dad? Because I think that's so hilarious. Like we focus on your mom. It's like, oh, your mom died, but there was nothing about your dad. So I wonder if his dad's technically alive or something like that. The way it just kind of was so unceremonial of, oh, dad's here. And he's kind of shocked by it, but I wonder what, I mean, not unless it's just also because maybe it's not necessarily that he died, or maybe he does, but maybe there's some future stuff with him, with his mom and dad that he knows about. I don't know. He didn't seem, there was no animosity towards his dad, so maybe he just wasn't, maybe his dad typically is busy, so he wasn't expecting his dad to like maybe be away from work to do this, but his mom's tearful eyes being like, oh, like, you know, make sure you don't just eat meat, so. Either way, our quartet make their way because they're not going directly to the place that they thought they were. He's going like, basically it's like, oh, we got a little side quest to go on first because there's a hidden like treasure trove we got to go after. And I love that Theron and Lise think he's nuts and crazy. Oh my god, you poor dumb bastard, you got duped. But then it's not until Ursa's like, oh, this map actually feels magical. It's actually legit. They're like, oh wow, I can't believe it. And then he's just like, you jerks, you doubted me, but it took Urza saying something. Now you believe her and trust her word, not mine. Because you think I'm just a poor idiot that got duped. Oh, he wants to believe the treasure is real. Oh, you poor dumb bastard. So, but instead of taking the direct route there, they're digging. And I love that whole bit where Urza's kind of like the head, what would you say, I guess head miner in this situation, where like her and her gnome are kind of handling like the dig and kind of overseeing everything. And it's like, wow, she was kind of bringing it up, but she's very serious about this, telling them not to talk and for them not to dig a certain way. It's like, right, you got to make sure we're going in the right direction. So just her overseeing everything was really dope. I guess we also learned why Kyle was kind of knocked down by Lise's punch last episode. It wasn't just like a comedic bit, which yes it was, but it also turns out apparently she's stupid strong. Once again, I've brought this up recently in something else. What have I been watching? Something I was watching where that came up, and I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, the latest episode of Sakamoto Days. I referenced like the whole like, oh, petite or small like girl character or female character being like the juggernaut of like either they're the heavy hitter or they're the tank of the group. You know, she's like, so she's apparently super strong because she ended up like killing a bear with her bare hands and pun intended, and ended up cooking it up. Then we have Lise and Urza bonding in the hot springs that she kind of ended up making. And it's like, she's like, Lise saying like, well, you don't have to worry about Kyle. Like, you know, you're kind of kept in the dark just as much as us, but we can trust him. I know whatever he's doing, he has his reasons and he'll tell us eventually. But it's like, yeah, but if he ever hurts you or makes you cry, don't worry. I'll kind of, you know, hit him one time or whatever. We also find out that Urza has like a heart-shaped, I guess, birthmark on her butt, specifically her right cheek, which I'm like, I guarantee you Kyle knows about that, and he probably wants to make sure he doesn't slip up and let that out there because, I mean, I love the whole bit where he's just literally holding back Theron from like spying on them. I mean, there's twofold of it. One, don't be a, well, technically three. One, don't be a creepo spying on them. Two, it's going to be a problem they catch you spying on them, and we don't need that like division amongst the group already. Three, they're both women that are very important to me. The last thing I want is you perving on them, so that's complicated. I mean, that does make you beg the question, like, what does that mean for Kyle in the future, whatever this future is? Like, he got with Urza, but now it's like, do you just completely discount what you built together because that was built after he lost Lise, but now he can keep Lise in his world, but like, do you completely discount your feelings for her? Like, I doubt this is going to be a menage a trois, polyamorous ending. God forbid. I mean, who knows? I'm actually trying to think on the top of my head, like, how many like straight polyamorous harem endings have I ever seen in anime? I'm trying to think. Like, there's series where, like, obviously the harem element never goes away, but it's, like, one true romance situation. But I'm trying to think of, like, a harem situation. Because, I mean, I haven't watched, like, every harem anime under the sun. But, I'm trying to think of the few I have seen. Like, I don't think I've seen anywhere it's just, like, it's a polyamorous ending. There's a few stories I've come across, but, like, anime-wise, I haven't. Or even just straight-up manga-wise, I don't, Maybe there's some stories I'm aware of. I just don't know the ending to them to know that they become polyamorous. But either way, that's why I was just curious. Like, not unless that's the route this story goes. That'd be interesting. Like I said, him basically being like the woman he was originally in love with, and it's like after you it's like you were married and then you became a widow, and this person became your new wife. But then you go back in time and now you're with your original wife who you're in love with and love that she's here, but you're also surrounded with the person that would eventually become your future wife. I mean, it's the exact scenario, but just that's such an interesting wrinkle. But either way, the end of the episode is they finally make their way to the treasure, and without a hitch, they went past all the booby traps and stuff. Yay, future knowledge. Being able to kind of oversee so much stuff because Kyle knows better than anyone because he's like, well, kind of had to deal with all that bullshit before. But now, hey, I can basically cheat code my way to this to some extent with my future knowledge. So, but yeah, it's a crap ton of gold and everyone's like, oh my God, look at all this. And Theron is the one that kind of loses his shit. And he's like, kind of going a little Scrooge McDuck here. And I love Kyle's like, wait, don't ever become someone obsessed with money. And then it's like, you don't want to ever be like someone like that. And you see Theron's like, yeah, I'm so rich. And there's both Lise and Urza being like, oh my God, disgusting. It's like, oh, I don't want to end up like him. And Kyle's like, thank you, Theron. Now their hearts will stay pure because they realize you were the example of, I never want to be like him. So it's like, yeah. But at that moment, Kyle sneaks off to find something else. Besides the money, something else he was trying to get, and that's the sword. Now we see like his sword also takes on a human form, which I was like, interesting. So we're going Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Here I'm like, okay, with the... I was about to say with just the pirate situation, but I was like, well, no, because all the... oh, God, what were they... what are they called? It's been so long I forgot, but like in that world, like weapons can turn into like have human forms. A more apt comparison that maybe people listening to this probably more familiar with outside of like Xenoblade Chronicles. The easiest example would have been like, oh yeah, like the Zombok toes from Bleach, to some extent. But I mean, you don't always get to see their human forms except for that one filler arc where all the Zombok toes basically came to life and took on their like physical forms. I actually really love that arc. If I remember correctly, that takes place after the Espada arc and before the Fullbringer arc in the anime, if I remember correctly, if you're curious about what arc I'm talking about, if you've seen that far into Bleach. Either way, I'm going on a tangent, but it's interesting to see that his sword is... because she's one of the people in his party in the intro, and she's also in the outro, obviously, but like, we heard her voice, but I thought the sword was just alive, didn't know it had a literal physical form like that. So that's going to be interesting. She's probably just going to walk around mainly in that form. So I was like, oh, that's kind of neat, and I don't know why that never even crossed my mind when her and Kyle were talking to each other last episode. The beginning of episode 1. So yeah, like I said, just kind of a nice first step for their adventure. It's going to be interesting to see where the next episode takes us going forward with all this. Based on the title, it mainly revolves around that contract between him and Urza. So, and maybe there will be something applicable between, because they had the conversation that the contract's mainly supposed to be between like a person and a spirit, and I guess maybe she counts as a spirit. So there's that contractual thing there, because they did like, she was putting her life on the line and so was Kyle, but he didn't really die afterwards. So maybe it isn't a contract, because maybe she doesn't count as a spirit. So, or maybe the situation or their contract's a little different. I don't know. I'm like I said, very fascinated to see where the next episode takes us with all of this. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.